Hello everybody, I am Row2501, and as you can see we have another PUBG highlights video going. We're going to do something a little bit different with this one, in that I'm going to narrate the little scenarios that are going. And as you can see, this one's in the middle of a firefight right off the bat. My two teammates were ambushed outside of a building by these two guys who we happened to have killed the partner earlier in the match. So they got ambushed, and as you saw, I ran through the gunfire to turn it around and kill them both. This next clip where I'm running is a continuation of that same round, and I end up finding a Jeep near these buildings coming up, and I shoot it quite often hoping to blow it up. And as you can see, it did not blow up. So I proceeded to try to shoot the guys just by themselves, and succeeded in, you know, just wasting all my bullets and harassing them, essentially. But it turns into this big old long firefight. And they're back on it, still shooting them, still pretty much missing and not blowing it up. And I ended up knocking one guy out, surprisingly. So I was actually hitting him a bunch of the time. And I will explain the blood spots on the screen and the blue stuff here in just a tiny bit. But, so there's one guy left, and I totally lost him. I had no idea where he went. I thought he was behind the tree. Then I thought he was in this house, and just couldn't find the guy. Turns out he was right behind me. That was a fun little match. I was quite happy with that. Still puzzled why the Jeep didn't blow up, but hey. This whole next bit, it basically just demonstrating how well you can do with certain guns in PUBG with just the iron sights. I really like using this gun. It's a Kar 98, but I hardly ever get it. So in this round we found it, but we couldn't find any kind of sights for it. So I just grabbed a bunch of ammo and started using the iron sights as we were going through the match. As you can see, I'm hitting that Jeep as it's, or that buggy as it's going across the map. And where the buggy was going was towards this beach over here, because there's boats and they're trying to get across the river. But while I'm running over to try to take care of those guys, my teammates were under fire from a different team. So I did blow it up, but unfortunately the people were not still by the car. So no kills, but that's effective shooting. So as you saw in that last clip, like this blue kind of wave just enveloped me, and blood spots started appearing across the screen and stuff like that. What happens in this game, because it's a battle royale game, people call that like the gas. Basically what it does is every so many minutes that gas closes in the map So it forces everybody to meet and, you know, in a very particular area, so you can all do battle to figure out who's the last man standing. And the every time the circle gets smaller, that blue gas does more and more damage to you. So if you get caught in it, it just eliminates you. And as you could see there just a second ago, the blue ring on the map is the gas, like, approaching. You can see it coming. I saw that guy running across the road there as I was moving, and managed to down him with the iron sights on that gun. I believe he was the leftover teammate from when my teammates ended up getting in their firefight. So I'm by myself now, and there's not a whole lot of hope of me kind of winning the game with the guns that I got, but I'm still going to try and see what kind of damage I can do. Being that I'm on the motorcycle, it's really loud and basically giving my position away to anybody who's by me. So that's why I got off of it just in the middle of nowhere. And like any good person with a bolt-action rifle would do, I find some high ground. And this next bit is just me causing a little bit of chaos to a team. I was quite amused with myself when I did it, honestly, but yeah, here we go. And they have no idea where I'm at. They're just running around and shooting. I did get a bunch of hits on them, but no kills. If you look in the background, you can see that kind of blue wall that's moving. That's the gas that pushes everybody together. So basically, like, I'm keeping those guys from coming towards the circle and being an overall distraction to them. But, oh, here's the next one. So I saw him running, and then he just went prone for no reason in the middle of that field. So I whacked him. But the bullets you can hear hitting the ground is the partner, who is across the way, who is a very effective shot, as you can see. So now I'm trying to figure out what I need to do. And I end up just going for it. I was looking for him because I didn't quite know where he was. That's why I'm sliding back and forth across that tree. He's a really good shot. You'll see another guy running up the hill there. That guy running up the hill, see, in the distance, they got in a gunfight. And I tried to pick up the pieces. Didn't quite get him, but I sure made him afraid. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see that little mini-map. And the blue line there, that's the gas. That's the edge, and it's going to start moving, or it is actually moving towards me right now. So I'm running to get ahead of that. But as I'm running, I'm quite concerned about the guy that I did not finish off that's up on that hill by that tower. Like, I didn't see where he went. So the whole time I'm running, hoping I don't get shot in the back, which is a common occurrence. For me especially, but just in general, as you're running away from the gas, people usually pop out of it or come out of whatever building they're in because they too have to run. And yes, this clip does seem a little long, but I promise it's coming to the point right now. So this is just like a general housing complex. There's tons of these all over the place, and it's dangerous to do this in particular because usually there's people in buildings, especially when you get to see. They're not shooting at me yet. There's about 3 different people in there shooting at various targets. And that is a demonstration of 2 things. 1, effective evasion from gunfire, and 2, poor aiming due to panicking. So I find a soft spot. Hopefully they weren't right behind me the whole time I was doing this. I was expecting to see them come over the hill. So all I have are these bandages to heal with. The whole time the gas is still coming. So now I've got to get to the dotted line. I've got to get to the next area. So off I go. Still expecting to be shot. That's why I'm kind of going back and forth the way I am. And since the circle is making me come this way, and there's not a lot of places for me to hide or get any kind of cover from incoming bullets, obviously I'm trying to run to these buildings to use them as temporary cover. And the person in those buildings is now shooting at me. Yeah, I'm quite effective at dodging bullets. I still get hit every now and then, but unless it's a average or better than average shot, I usually get away. I might take damage, but I won't die. So I'm looking for the guy now, the one who was shooting at me. There he is. And there he goes. So this next one, I landed in an area of buildings where another player landed. And he knew I was in this building, obviously. That's why he came and tried to shoot me. And he's a little bit aware of, you know, how dangerous it is to run into a room with someone, so he's trying to figure out what to do. And me at the same time, I'm doing the same thing. So just in case he was outside the door, but also I was doing that because I have a grenade and I know he's still over there or on the balcony. And since he's not coming for me, I decided to use the grenade. I was quite surprised he didn't end up pushing me. You can hear him walking around. And that's how you throw grenades. I was quite surprised that killed him. Like, I had no idea where he was. I was just throwing it to throw it. And this turns out to a little poor aim gunfight, I guess you could say, between me and this guy down here. And there he goes. So I hit him. I know I've hit him a bunch of times. I'm moving in to try and see if I can seal the deal here. Switch to my close quarter gun. And there we go. I was really surprised to see he was looking on the other side of the tree the way he was. So this one is a squad of me and my two brothers who are brothers. Jackson the Chin, which is my duo's partner, and his older brother Zach. We're doing 3-man squads in third-person view, and as you can see, we knew a person was in there, and so we started to push him and shoot at him. And Jackson steamrollered that guy pretty good. And the whole time I was trying to tell them I was shot from behind, not from the guy in the building. But we couldn't see anybody behind us, so we just carried on. Typically, it's not the best thing in the world to be looting this late in the game, but we needed certain items, so we kind of had no choice. So remember when I said there were people behind us? There were people behind us. So yes, I got downed again, but I did hit him a few times because Zach just almost killed him instantly with just a 9mm. My intent as I was crawling to him was to basically just drown him in my blood because there was nothing more I could do. Plus the circle's coming, so they tried to pick me up, but it just wasn't going to happen. So they carry on without me. And this is the final circle, I guess you could say. You see how tiny it is on the map? So everybody that's alive left in the match is within this tiny little area. And this is Zach's point of view, or KGB 42, KGB Assassin 42. This is his view right now. I'm spectating him. He's being shot at from the left, but he saw that guy on the right. So he's trying to move in to get him. And you can see him up there. As you can see, Zach was firing just a little too quickly with that gun, and the whole time we're telling him, like, fire slower, fire slower. And he ended up knocking and killing that dude. And there was still one more over there. The other guy was still over there. So do you realize, or Jacksonachin is over here, and he saw the other player, the one person that was left alive, or the other team that was left alive. And that gunfight you just heard was one team eliminating another. And what ended up happening was Jackson ended up killing the last two guys because they were right next to one another, and he was just to the right of Zach, like out of his view. That's why he couldn't do anything but hear the gunshots and see him running around. He thought he was being shot at, but they were really shooting at Jackson. So yeah, that was a squad chicken dinner for us. We were quite pleased with that because other than me dying, we did pretty well that round. This last bit is just it goes to demonstrate the joke that I make several times to my friends, which is I like to say that they wear "shoot me here" shirts. Basically, they wear bright colored clothing in a game where you don't want to be spotted. And I was running towards this circle, and I have this really rather large machine gun that I'm not very good with and don't like to use, but use what you're given. So as I'm running towards the circle, I come across this guy dressed in all white, who was quite easy to see because he was dressed in all white, which goes to my joke of "shoot me here" outfits. So I followed this guy for the better part of like 6 or 8 minutes, just constantly behind him. He never turned around, for one, and two, I could always see where he was because he was wearing white clothes. And the red circle you see on the map there is basically like an incoming artillery barrage. And being under the water will save me from it just in case any shells land on my head, which is why I jumped in the water to begin with. I'm just enjoying my little swim. And then I dip under the water once the shells start landing. The gentleman who is in all white, I saw him run across the field on the other side of the houses that were there on the road, and knew he was crossing the river just up here. I'm not overly concerned with losing him because I know where he's going and he sticks out like sore thumb. And the circle rarely finishes on this part of the map, but it's kind of a good thing that it does because you can use this riverbank on either side to travel without being seen by very many people. Not a lot of people use it to travel either, which is fortunate for me. So this, 10-minute across the map chase ends right here, basically, where the guy in all white was crossing the river. Right where I knew he would be, because he was dressed in all white. So, tip for the day, don't wear bright clothes in PUBG. Someone may track you across the map and kill you. hopefully you enjoyed all this stuff and the new version of the highlights. Always revive your teammates, and yeah, don't wear bright clothes. Got him.